So I was just debating with my team. They want to put in the thumbnail that an attack is expected shortly, or imminent attack by the US against Iran. And I'm telling them, I'm having a debate with my producers. I'm like, look, guys, I really think we're nearing a deal. We've been having this debate for ages. And they mock me whenever I say that. Well, we've got right now, the last 24 hours have been intense. Yesterday, we had jets scrambled from Israel. They went over Iraq and Syria. Not officially confirmed, but it was pretty clear from everyone I spoke to and from OSINT sources as well as a refueling tanker that took off from Israel. Iran immediately closed the airspace in the west, and they put their military at the highest alert. So strikes seemed imminent, and also GPS jamming in the region, including in Israel. So it seemed pretty clear that strikes were about to happen. And that was the same day that Trump delayed his, said he won't attend his son's wedding, which is wild. And he asked his security team, his security advisors, to cancel their plans for the long weekend. So yesterday seemed like a bad day, but then it seems that either it was called off, or more likely it was more as a warning to Iran, or it was to get Iran to activate their air defense batteries. So then from a security perspective, they can know when they're located. So for more of a strategic maneuver. So that was yesterday. Today, we got updates that Iran responded to the US. They've sent through an offer through Asim Munir from Pakistan. The Qatari delegation was there yesterday. Trump is currently... Okay, so the team sent me something. Let me see. What is the team sending me? Usually they don't send me. What is it, guys? J.D. Vance, Secretary of War Hegseth, General Kane, and the entire National Security Council have been summoned by Trump to the White House Situation Room for talks on Iran. The entire National Security Council have been summoned by Trump and the White House Situation Room for talks on Iran. And so my team is telling me, so that's the team that disagrees with me, that doesn't think the war is about to end. So they're criticizing, they're like, Mario, they're all been summoned because they're about to strike Iran. I think he's about to accept a deal. He spoke to the Gulf countries. Trump spoke to the Gulf countries, which apparently the call went well. He's currently speaking to Netanyahu. I think the call's over, but we don't know how that went. And it seems that Trump, it looks like he wants to accept the deal, at least in my view. My team says it seems the complete opposite. Alan, you're the expert there. What do you make of all the developments?
Yeah, I think you're both right. It's like light being a wave and a particle. We're on a knife's edge right here. Trump is perfectly willing to attack. Israel would love to attack, but there does seem to be some recent progress made toward, and I would not say a deal, because let's remind everybody what's being agreed upon. A memorandum of understanding, or a framework, which is pretty much negotiations about what we're going to negotiate with. Now, in reality, I think this is the best the U.S. will get, and there will be no future detailed deal that deals with the nuclear issue. From what is leaking out, and again, everyone's leaking different things, there's an agreement to end the war, work on opening the strait, and then a 30 to 60 day dance about the nuclear issue, which Iran does not want to lead with. So that could be close. It shouldn't be that hard to agree upon what you're going to talk about. But the dynamic is Iran wants all the benefits up front because it correctly assesses Trump will never close the deal. He'll walk away from this. And U.S. also wants the nuclear deal up front for the same reason.
In terms of what the details of the deal are, so what we have so far. So according to the sources yesterday, let me see if I've got it there. There we go. All right.
Yeah.
There's a lot of information. So the obstacles, according to the discussions yesterday before Iran responded, were the U.S. wants the nuclear issue addressed immediately. Iran wants a 30-day trust-building period first, which I think Trump is going to concede on that point. They'll be somewhere in the middle, but I really think Trump will concede.
Yeah.
The U.S. rejects Iran's proposed toll system for the Strait of Hormuz.
Yep.
I think they're going to accept it. And for the fact that the Gulf countries thought it was a good deal, in my view, the call with the Gulf countries went well. In my view, it means that there is some sort of framework where the toll booth in the Strait of Hormuz will be temporary, and the permanent toll booth will probably be shared somehow with the Gulf, or there won't be a permanent toll booth, something along those lines. Or it could be a very bare bones deal. Just let's end the war formally. Let's both open the Strait of Hormuz and let's discuss the nuclear program and everything else later. Could be something like that. It could be just such a very basic MOU.
Yeah, I mean, I said this, I think, the first or second time we talked. President Trump's goal is a brief document where ambiguity is a feature and not a bug. Okay? Here's the key. Iran wants to formally end the war to include Lebanon. That's evidently a key factor of what Iran wants. Again, I think Iran is going to insist on tolling. They can make some noise about it being temporary or fading away, but they're not going to give that up front. And then later on talk about the nuclear issue. So it sounds like all the concerns that Iran wanted in these discussions about what we're going to discuss have been met. So not a clear victory for Iran, but certainly so far it's going the way Iran wants it to go.
It doesn't seem like he made a decision.
Well, he did make a decision because he decided not to bomb, because he realizes that if he attacks, what's that do other than invite massive retaliation about Gulf energy infrastructure, right? So, I don't think even President Trump thinks at this point that one final spasm of excessive, war crime bombing is going to get him across the, into the end zone.
The report came in now from Axios. According to a regional source cited by Axios, all Arab and Muslim leaders on the call with Donald Trump today urged him to proceed with the deal and de-escalate the situation, with the message from all parties being, quote, please stop the war for the benefit of the whole region. The source stated the negotiations are moving well, with mediators hoping to conclude and announce a one-page framework agreement tomorrow, followed by the initiation of a more detailed negotiations a few days later.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. One page. Mother of God. Why don't you just get a Hallmark greeting card and have both sides sign it? That's craziness. But again, President Trump wants to declare victory, and, he's already talking more about Cuba. His mind is already on Cuba now. So, again, if that's what it takes, again, and I called this a month ago. He wants to declare victory, cut his losses, and just move on. Change the topic.
The call with Netanyahu hasn't happened yet. So Netanyahu has remained in contact with U.S. officials throughout the evening and is expected to speak with Trump tonight. Israeli officials remain concerned that an interim agreement will mainly extend the ceasefire, reopen the Strait of Hormuz, and gradually ease sanctions without fully addressing Iran's nuclear program and enriched uranium stockpiles. The U.S. has continued reassuring Israel regarding the uranium issue. If I made a post a few hours ago, I said, if Trump doesn't take the deal now, if he doesn't accept this one-page MOU, then he's not calling the shots. Then Netanyahu is calling the shots. Because all indicators, like the entire Gulf, which are meant to be his allies, are telling him take the deal. And it's been clear for a while. He just delayed a shipment of weapons to Taiwan because they don't have enough munitions. That is wild. That is wild. And Ukraine is obviously suffering because of the lack of munition stockpiles on the American side. All allies have delays, except probably Israel. So yeah, it is such a horrible situation already. If a deal's not taken now, honestly, it just, there's no way Trump is making those calls, those decisions.
Yeah. And again, I agree with you, but it's not enough that, Trump says, no, I'm going to take this deal, even though it's not to Israel's satisfaction. What has to happen afterwards is President Trump has to be very clear to Prime Minister Netanyahu, you need to not maintain the ceasefire, because they're violating it egregiously now in Lebanon anyway. But to me, that's going to be one of the key spoilers of whatever happens after Trump takes the one-page deal is, what is Israel going to do in Lebanon? And will that provoke the whole deal to go out the window? Will Iran say, in the face of repeated and extensive Israeli violations of the ceasefire, that, no, forget it, this is no good? Or will they both sort of ignore what's happening in plain sight just for the for the goal of maintaining the peace.
Yeah, a lot of people are messaging me, Mario, the fact that he's convened his entire National Security Council, including Hexeth and General Kane. What do you make of that? Why would he convene the entire National Security Council? Because if he wants to take a deal, if it's a diplomatic decision,
I think that's performative. It's not as if this gentleman, President Trump, listens to advice from anybody. It won't be televised, so it won't be that whole kabuki, sycophancy where each cabinet minister says, "You're the best thing since ice cream, President Trump." But, he knows collectively and distributively what each one of those people are going to say. So,
no, a new piece. I've got another piece of news. Sorry, Axios just reported.
Yeah.
We hope to announce a framework agreement tomorrow.
Yeah. So it seems to me the momentum is for a framework agreement, which kicks every single significant can down the road, but it stops the war, which is good. As I said, President Trump can declare victory. The thing that I find so amusing is that in all the leaks about what President Trump wants, one of the things that the U.S. insists on is that Iran never have a nuclear weapon, right? But there's no mention of the IAEA.
No, yeah.
So, what is it? Is Iran going to swear on a Quran, that they're never going to have a nuclear? I just don't get it. I don't even know why that's in there. Or, like, for example, the U.S. swears they're not going to attack Iran again. No one believes that, So there's so much performative, talking points to this stuff. The U.S. will not attack Iran unless and until it thinks it's a good idea to do so. And Iran will not seek a nuclear weapon unless and until it thinks it's a good idea to do so. And whatever verbal dance they do beforehand is irrelevant. And that's why you need the IAEA in there to police whatever agreement, And so IAEA renewed presence at a maximum level has to be specifically stated if there's ever a nuclear agreement between the two sides. So I think it's probable there won't be.
What do you mean?
I mean, there's not going to be a nuclear agreement. I mean, they're going to announce an end to the war.
How does it? And the shit, like, just kick the.
Yeah, there's going to be a one-page document about, no war, no nuclear weapons. We're going to negotiate. They'll start on reopening maritime traffic through the strait, in addition to a gradual lifting. And those can both be gradual, a tit-for-tat thing. More ships pass through the strait, as opposed to more Iranian ships get to enter and exit Iranian ports, right? So that's the first part. And again, everyone can promise not to do something bad in the future. But then they say for 30 to 60 days, we talk about the nuclear issue. Well, they're not going to agree. So they'll extend it another 30 or 60 days.